All right. So we've got this this is interesting. Interesting. So let's check this out. So shout out to MK Sherlock. How you going, bro? Thanks for this. Thanks for sharing this. Letting me know about it. He says, that's what I call hashtag Mortal Kombat. I saw it in a store today and couldn't go home without it. I wish there were, I wish there would be a remake. And he tagged in, obviously, John Tobias, Joe from Calisite, whatever you say it, at Mortal Kombat, Warner Brothers Games. Please make it possible. Bring back hashtag Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Right, and it's a picture here of, obviously, now there's obviously foreign language book, but obviously the N64 version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now, my personal favorite, obviously, was the the PS1 version initially, and then, of course, when they brought out the PC version, that is actually the superior version out there now. Like, the best version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy, if you can get it. And if you got a PC, you'd easily be able to run it, right? Easily. You just get it on good old games, GOG, and, yeah, it's not super expensive, and you'll get all the Shang Tsung morphs all in real time, not sitting there loading like the PlayStation 1 version had. Now, if you go back and you check out my older videos, if you go back to the very beginning of my channel, I covered a lot of the talk and the screenshots and eventually some in-game play of the Mortal Kombat remake, Mortal Kombat Trilogy remake that Joe was working on from Eyebalistic. His response to this is, I've got a good feeling about it. Now, it is the 30th anniversary for Mortal Kombat. They have got to do something. They've got to do something, right? It is beyond ridiculous, right? You know, they just announced the definitive edition. Thankfully, they didn't try and rebrand that as a 30th anniversary type of collection, you know, and try and make out that somehow this was going to be enough. I know they did that. What was that video last year, thanking everyone? I mean, I don't give a shit about some stupid-ass video. Give me the games, bro. Right? You can work on your new crap all you like. You know, I'm not against... we had good discussions with some of the folk in the Discord last night, Flaming Breezy Dragoon, about, you know, like the nostalgia and, you know, is it, you know, should these companies only focus on this or whatever, blah, 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 or will it sell? Look, I think you can do two things at once. I don't actually want a remaster, right? I would be perfectly happy with just a collection. You know, put all the 2D... I've talked about the collections at length, so I'm not going to do it again. But essentially, focusing on Trilogy, you put it in a 2D collection, right? Because Trilogy never had an arcade port. It only had home ports. So what you would do is you would have all the arcade ROMs all the way up to MK4. You would then put in home version MK Gold. You would put in the home versions of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now, I would, in theory, like, you could probably skip the PlayStation 1 version by having the PC one in there, right? Because basically, you know, the PS1 version had to add in a couple of extra options because of the limitations of the memory, right? The RAM couldn't handle the idea of, like, literally being able to load all these Shang Tsung morphs on the fly. That's not an issue on PC. So you could have essentially the PC version and then the N64 version to give you your home versions. And I know people always bring this up because they always bring up, oh, but what about the ultimate versions or whatever on the 16-bit systems? But at that point in my gaming life, I had moved on to the 32-bit systems with the PlayStation 1. Right? I was not going to entertain getting ports of Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo or the Mega Drive. It just, to me, I didn't have the money at the time. I was only younger, and I much rather preferred to spend the money on the version that I really wanted, you know. So I never even got into trying those ones out until years upon years later, when emulation started really picking up. We started getting ROM dumps, and we started to see what those versions on those consoles are. But it's interesting that he points that out. I know there's been bits and pieces that he's sort of mentioned things or whatever. And then MK Sherlock's response is like, oh my God, how am I supposed to fall asleep today after reading answers like that? Now, if you go back and you check my earlier videos, including the wonderful interview with Joe on the channel, all the way back in the beginning, you'll see that the quality of these remasters was phenomenal. Now, if you want to do... Now, going back to the collection, I don't personally care. If you make a remaster, great. But at the end of the day, I just prefer to have all of these games in a collection, like Capcom's doing. Give us rollback netcode, all online play, done. If Fightcade can do it, Warner Brothers and NetherRealm can do it. If you're going to do a remaster, the quality and the detail that Joe and his team were working on were absolutely phenomenal. And you can go check out those videos to see exactly how cool that shit looked. The only way that I would accept a remaster is if the skeletal structure is exactly the same one-to-one, right? What do I mean by that? Well, when they've done games like, say, Halo Master Chief Collection, or Alex Kidd in Miracle World, or Wonder Boy 3 Dragon's Trap, and possibly some other games, where you can actually swap between the original graphics and the new graphics on the fly, and the gameplay feels exactly the same. It doesn't change. It feels exactly the same, right? It's got the same reach for all the attacks. It's just literally just a complete lick of paint, right? They just gave it a new coat of paint, right? But everything still functions exactly the same. And that is highly important for me personally as a fan. Like, I mean diehard fan. I mean big chub up, bricked up shit fan of classic 2D Mortal Kombat. You have got to retain that perfect gameplay, right? So if you do a remaster, that's my only request, is that you do that. Oh, maybe one or two requests, right? The second request, actually there's three requests. Here we go. I'm starting to overreach now. The second request would be making sure that all classic stages made it into Trilogy, because they were missing some stages from MK1 that weren't showing up in Trilogy, right? So they need to have those added back in. The other request would be, if possible, and I know it's possible because I have Mortal Kombat Thunder Edition that I did a live stream on here for Fight Night, where me and everyone was choosing characters to fight against each other, which is Mugen Project, Mortal Kombat Trilogy Thunder Edition. If there was a previous iteration of a character, you would double tap start on that character's faceplate, like say Scorpion, and it would flip from MK3 to MK2. Double tap again. MK1. Double tap again. It would roll around to the ultimate MK3 version, right? Or MK3. So that's what we need. I would love to have all the stages come back, and to have the ability to have the classic, all the classic character versions, as long as they exist, put into the game. That's it, right? Don't add any future characters. Like, you don't add in Quan Chi or Scarlet or anyone like that. It is literally bookended at Trilogy, but include, you know, all of that stuff there, all of that greatness. That's what I'd love to do. Tay Drusus, how you going, bro? He says, I'd love to be a part of something big. I'll tell you what, I said this before. Somebody said to me the other day, imagine Fate happy about Mortal Kombat. Yeah, you guys have no idea what would come if fucking you were actually, like, if there was actually great Mortal Kombat stuff coming out. In fact, you can actually, because if you go check out those earlier videos of mine, I was bricked up. I was really excited about the possibility of actually getting a remastered trilogy, right? Obi-Wan Cannoli says, I don't like having my emotions toyed with like that. So yeah, and this is the thing too, where I have a feeling, right, because Joe, go check out Joe. He's an absolutely fantastic dude, really, really awesome fellow. Go check out the interview that I did with him back good couple of years ago or so now. Absolutely amazing bloke. And there's been a couple of things where he's sort of like, you know, he's dropped a comment and whatnot. I don't know how far back we have to go for this, but I know over the time there's been, you know, a couple of bits and pieces. Now, There's also this one here that was shared by him by Johnny Tobias, where like there's let's
the first game was just little paragraphs.
Let's I don't know if he'll go into it immediately, but let's play some of this anyway.
Of the characters, but players just attach themselves to, you know, Liu Kang's my guy, or Raiden's my guy, or Sonya's my girl, and I really think that plays such a significant role in Mortal Kombat's success. It was not only this crazy, really fast-paced, violent, visually different than anything, but these characters, to this day, they're making a movie about Scorpion and his you know, the rivalry with Sub-Zero and the NetherRealm and all that stuff. They're still doing it to this day, and I think that it's not just the visuals of what the character looks like, what the cool stuff the characters do, and the story behind them. I think that's a significant part of its longevity.
That game and what it kind of became in those, you know, back in the early games, really was a conglomeration of kind of who Ed and I were at the time, and like the things we grew up loving, and everything that made us who we were at the time. We just like threw it all at Mortal Kombat. People always point out, like, hey, they can see a little bit of this book or this character or this film or this song or whatever, you know, in the game, and that really is because we literally just took everything about who we were at the time and put it into this game as best we could, and it really was kind of an expression of who we were at the time. And that just, the fact that that resonated the way that it did really is, we're very lucky that it happened, you know, the way that it did. But I'm very proud that it really was very organic. Like, it wasn't, you know, there was a lot of planning, a lot of hard work that we put into it, but the fact that we really just took these things that we loved and tried to weave it together and express it through that game worked out the way that it did. I'm very proud of that. I think we're very fortunate that it happened the way it did, but again, in hindsight, looking back at it, it really wasn't kind of a pure expression of who we were and the things that we consumed as kids, even growing up. So
a lot of people kind of onboarded into Mortal Kombat, so I do see us, you know, I would love it if we could like kind of revisit some of those moments with the latest technology and you know, remasters and you know, another action adventure game and all that stuff like that. I really feel like there's great opportunities for that.
Well, I got some good direct feedback there, Ed.
I mean, listen, they're not like throwing panties at the stage, but holy shit, you can hear, like, when he starts talking about remasters and wanting to revisit, you can start to hear the people, right, bricking up, right? Because we don't have it. Well, the last collection that we got was the Mortal Kombat Arcade collection, and then it got delisted. And then they delisted like Mortal Kombat 9. It's like they took away they took away the shit that was amazing. Right? Now again, like, you know, they might have the ability not the ability, sorry. Maybe they can have like a secondary team, you know, that is specifically dedicated now, like to this sort of thing. Now, we do know that San Diego, Warner Brothers San Diego got shut down, and that's where John Tobias was working. Now, what if, for whatever reason, he was essentially repurposed and hired to come over and oversee the remastering of you know, MK, that sort of thing? That would be amazing. And of course, if they did it with Trilogy, they would have to do it with, obviously, MK1, MK2, MK3, and Ultimate MK3, just because then you get a cohesive product. It would sell. And I would be on that shit every day. You have no idea how happy I would be to actually have, like, great Mortal Kombat news. Like, truly just in your soul, before Shang Tsung nicks it, in your soul, Mortal Kombat news, coverage, you know, anticipation, waiting for this sort of stuff to come out. That would be absolutely insane. And so, yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like, and again, I don't know if this is possible, where they use AI to fundamentally, like, take their skeletal engine of the game and go, right, get the AI program to essentially remaster the stuff. Now, if you notice, I did a video about a week or so ago where it was the character select screen avatars from Mortal Kombat 2, and AI was regenerating them, and the outcome was absolutely fucking phenomenal. Imagine that level of detail, but for the whole character, for their special moves, for the stages, for the storyboards that show up, for the endings. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, like, you know, that sort of stuff is giving me the tingles, you know what I'm saying? Right? And so that's the sort of thing I would absolutely love. Right? Like, it would just be absolutely fucking batshit crazy that if they came out, and again, it's the 30th anniversary this year. They've just wrapped up the definitive edition. They've got to keep Mortal Kombat alive in the hearts of people, and one of the best ways to do it is to reintroduce these games, both with, now again, like I stated, if you do a remaster, you've got to have the ability to swap to the original on the fly. If you don't, right, I think that'd be a little bit of a fail for me, right? We've got to have the ability to sit there and be able to swap them in real time like other games do, so that way we can see the appreciation of the quality. And I said this the other day, I was saying this to Total MK, that wouldn't it be awesome that in the remastered version, right, the, like, oh, so not, like, this was applying to a new Mortal Kombat game, right? But imagine, listen to this, right? So my idea was that if they made a new Mortal Kombat game, they would get John Tobias's artwork, put that in 3D for the models, and give us that comic book cartoony character look. You know, it's kind of like Marvel Rivals, right? So imagine you've got the original 2D pixelated version. You've got a true like actual remastered version where it's taken like the characters, like I said with the MK2 character select screen reaction video I did, and then getting an actual real life or realistic looking take, and then you get a third graphic filter, and that is the actual John Tobias artwork, where he actually pens and draws how, right, and illustrates, like, color and everything, how these actual backgrounds would look as if it was a comic book. So you got the comic book characters, right, and then you got the comic book background and the menus and shit like that. Oh, dude, right? Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be fucking amazing. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.